Hello and welcome. My name is Luke from Skywalker Yoga and Fitness, and in this video today I'm going to take you through a full body foam rolling tutorial. Okay, so grab your foam roller if you have one. We're going to start working down the back of the body, and then we'll flip over and do the front side. On any given day to prepare for a workout, it's only necessary to foam roll the muscles that you're going to be targeting on that specific day. But if you do full body workouts, then do the full body routine every time. So the idea with foam rolling in general is that we're placing a pretty intense but controllable amount of pressure on specific points, trigger points in the muscle, to cause the muscles to have a relaxation response. And what this does is it returns our muscles to a normal starting length, so back to their original rested state before we start tensing up the muscles and aggravating them with exercise, basically. And when we do exercise, the muscles start to contract and swell, and they'll get into a shortened state, basically. So we're helping them relax just a little bit before we start our workouts. It can give us better movement mechanics throughout the workouts as well. So all that being said, we're going to get into it. We're going to start with the glutes. So to do this, you'll rest your hands on the floor behind you. Take a seat on your foam roller. We're going to start with just one side of the butt at a time. So cross one ankle over the opposite thigh. I'm going to start on my right side, so right ankle is crossed over the left. And then I'm going to rock onto the side of my right hip. So this will really target the side of the glute on the right side. And then with foam rolling, you're going to roll up and down a few times, all the way down, up and down the length of that muscle, until you find the tightest point in the muscle. And once you identify what you think is the tightest point, we're going to hold there for at least 30 seconds. 30 seconds is the minimum. That's the amount of time it takes the little organs in our muscles to respond to that pressure and relax. All the way up to a minute, but you don't want to overdo it before a workout and get yourself too relaxed to have an effective workout. This is also great to do after post-workout, especially if you're really sore, or the next day after a workout, to get that fascia, the connective tissue around your muscles, a little bit more malleable and broken up, so that you can get better blood circulation throughout your limbs and help you recover a little more quickly too. So it's been about 30 seconds on the right side here. So I'm going to put the right foot down, switch over to the left. So left ankle crosses over the right thigh, rolling onto the left side of my hip here. This side's tighter on me. So I'm going to roll up and down a few times, try to find the tightest spot or the most tender spot. We're going to hold here for 30 seconds or so. Sometimes if the muscle's tight enough too, you can actually feel that relaxation hit after about that 30-second mark. You'll feel the muscle just soften and relax down onto the roller too. So that can always be a nice indicator when that actually happens. It doesn't happen every time though. Okay, just a few more seconds on this side and then we'll move on. After holding on each muscle point, I like to roll up and down a couple more times afterwards too, just to massage out the muscle. So we're going to come down to the back of the thighs now and work on the hamstrings a little bit. So I'm going to start with this roller all the way under, just below the crease of my right butt cheek. Extend the right leg all the way out. The left foot can stay right here on the floor, or if you want to add some pressure on to the right leg, you can cross the left leg all the way over the right. The hamstrings are pretty dense muscles, so usually a little bit more pressure on this is going to feel okay, tolerable at least. Foam rolling is not always the most comfortable thing to do, but it's definitely necessary. So again, here we're going to roll up and down the length of the hamstring 2 or 3 times until we really start to feel out where the tightest spot there is. And then we're going to hold for 30 seconds or so. About 10 more seconds and then we'll move on to the other side. Okay, before we move on to the left side, actually, let's hit a couple other points on this leg. So I'm gonna bring the roller down to my calf and start it just under the meatiest part of my calf, where the calf meets the back of the lower leg. Again, you can cross the opposite leg over to add on pressure. For me, I usually keep this other foot on the ground because the calves are such small muscles that a lot of pressure on them can feel pretty intense pretty quickly. My roller also has all these little ridges all over it that really dig in, so if you do this too hard or hold for too long, you can actually bruise the skin and bust the little blood vessels that are below the skin, which is not the idea. So this, I rolled up and down a couple times to find the tight spot, and I'm going to hold here for about 30 seconds or so. Even if you're not preparing to work out on a given day, foam rolling can be a really nice way just to prepare your body for daily movement, just whatever your daily activity is. Or just to work on your mobility a little bit and help your muscles relax. I know we're all holding on to probably more tension than we're used to after having been in lockdown for a year already. So even if this is just a way for you to reset and relax a little bit, that's totally fine. Okay, so we're gonna roll it out after that 30-second hold. I'm gonna bring the roller back up below my thigh, and we're gonna target the outside of the thigh here. So I'm gonna face away from you so you can see this a little bit more clearly. Left foot's gonna stay on the ground for now. I'm gonna get my hips lifted up so the roller is under my left cheek. I'm gonna bring my other hand over to this side and reposition my thigh so the outside of my thigh is on the roller here. Left foot is going to stay on the ground here because the IT band, the muscle that runs along the outside of the thigh, is notorious for being one of the tightest muscles in the body. So this can feel really tender if you don't have enough support from your other limbs here. So I found that tight spot. It's about halfway down on the leg for me. So I'm going to hold here for 30 seconds or so. Okay, from here, I'm actually going to bring my hips down below the roller. We're going to do the side body and the lats next. This is also can be quite intense. This one, there's not as much active rolling to it. It's a little more difficult, so you're going to have to position the roller almost under your armpit to start, lift up slightly, and then roll it down so it's about level with your chest or your nipples on the uppermost part of your rib cage below the armpit. You're targeting the side of the lat here and the muscles between your rib cage on the right side while we're here. So this right arm is just extended out, kind of in front of and overhead. We're just holding and resting here. Using this right arm for a little bit of support, just so I'm not dumping all of my weight onto my right rib cage. Okay. And if you can like gently roll it out a little bit, that's okay, but it's a little harder to get leverage under the rib cage to roll up and down the full length of them without like crushing or cracking your rib cage too, which isn't cute. So we're going to move on to the left side of the body now. So we're going to bring that roller under the left butt cheek crease. Get the hips up off the floor, cross the right leg over if you want to add on pressure. Then we're going to roll up and down the hamstring a few times just to find the tightest spot, and then we will hold there for 30 seconds. 30 seconds, go ahead and roll up and down a couple more times just to massage it out. And then we're gonna move on down to the left calf. Same thing here, start with it just under the meatiest part of your calf muscle. Keep the other foot on the ground for a little support if you need it. Roll up and down, find your tight spot. Maybe for you too, it could be on the side of the leg or the inside of the thigh or calf. It's okay to rotate your leg a little bit side to side to find it if you need to. Or that can be its own whole other trigger point if you want to target all those different areas one at a time. That's okay too. Again, just don't overdo it so you don't walk away from your warm-up session with bruised body parts. Okay, so we've had about 30 seconds on this side. I'm gonna roll it out a little bit. Bring that roller all the way back up, position it back under the hip, and then we're rolling onto the outside of the left thigh. Again, hitting the IT band on the left side. This is a pretty tender, tight muscle, on me at least. So roll up and down a couple times, find the most tender spot, and we're gonna hold there. I actually felt the muscle soften and relax there, which is nice but kind of painful. Rolling it out a couple more times. Okay, then I'm going to move on to the left rib cage. I subconsciously wanted to skip it because this is one of the least pleasant ones to do. So again, if you can, find the leverage to roll up and down a little bit. That's okay, just don't expect the roller to go up and down the whole length of your torso. So find that tight spot, just kind of lay there and chill out as much as you can. Focus on your breathing if it hurts. Deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. Gently kind of roll it out a little bit again. Okay, we're going to make our way back up into a seated position. That was the whole back and side of the legs tutorial and side body, and we're going to move on to the rest of the back before we flip over onto our stomachs and do a couple things from that position. So for the lower back, I like to start with my feet and my hips on the ground. Hands are going to be at the sides, just kind of supporting the roller so it doesn't roll out from under me. And very slowly just start to guide myself back. You don't want to overextend the lower back or you're going to end up putting undue pressure on your vertebrae. Once your elbows touch the ground, you can lift your hips up here and then keep your elbows on the ground. And just roll up and down the lower portion of the back, so from about the bottom of your rib cage to the top of your hips. Here, it can be a little bit harder to hold in one position. So for me, my lower back does get really tight. I have notoriously tight lower back and hamstrings, which is a plague of many modern Americans. But find that tight spot and hold it for a little bit if you can, as long as it does not feel painful on your lower back. None of this should be above like a 6 on a pain scale. If it's above that, you're probably doing more damage than you are good. Okay, a few more seconds. Good, and just massage it out. Move a little bit side to side, the sides of the lower back. Okay, for middle and upper back, I usually hit them kind of at the same time. So you're going to start with your hips a little bit farther down, position that foam roller just under the shoulder blades. And then for this one, I like to cross my arms over my chest. If you need to keep your hands on the floor for support, that's okay. You can just lift your hips up and have your hands there for a little added support. I personally like to cross the arms because it rounds out my back, my upper back slightly too, and just feels like it allows me to get a little bit deeper into the muscle tissue here. So whatever feels good to you is right for your body. It's not a one-size-fits-all situation. Okay, so rolling up and down, massaging out the middle and the upper back. Don't go all the way up to the neck, or you're gonna put a lot of ridiculous amounts of pressure on your neck, which is not great for you. You can even support your head with your hands interlaced behind it if you'd like to get into your shoulders a little bit up here. Okay, and then I'm gonna come back down to my middle back and hold here for about 30 seconds. This feels like the tightest spot on me today. And if keeping your hips lifted is too much pressure for you too, you can keep setting back down on the ground once you identify that spot you're gonna hold. Slightly and roll it out one more time. All right, now we're going to make our way over onto the front side of our body. So we'll hit the quadriceps first, so the front side of the legs, inner thighs, and then chest and the front of the shoulders, and that'll wrap up our foam rolling. So let's get to it. Flip over, bring yourself to your hands and knees. You're going to start with your left knee stays on the ground. Right leg is going to extend all the way. And then you're going to lower down until that roller is right under your hip crease on the right side, and then walk down onto your forearms on the floor. That left knee is going to stay on the ground for support the whole time. It can be a lot on the front side of the leg. The quads are usually pretty tight if you're somebody who sits a lot. So quads and hip flexors get very, very, very tight in that shortened sitting position. So at the hip, I like to roll up and down a little bit first just to loosen up the muscles of the hip joint. I'm not necessarily going to hold here with a lot of intense pressure for a long time, just for a few seconds at least to get it a little bit warmed up and relaxed. Okay, once that feels ready, I'm going to crawl forward on my forearms. And again, you can roll up and down the quadricep here a few times just to find where the tightest spot is on you, and then hold there for 30 seconds. After that 30-second mark, go ahead and roll it up and down a few more times, just massage it out. When you're ready to switch legs, you're going to walk yourself all the way back until that roller is under your hip again. Reposition your left knee so you can pick yourself up off the roller. Set up your right knee onto the mat, move the roller over so it's under your left hip this time, and then lower yourself down. Okay, again, starting with it under your hip on this side first, and just opening up that hip joint with a little bit of movement and some a light hold here for a few seconds. Crawl up on my forearms, get the roller under my quad on the left side, roll up and down a few times, find that tight spot. I sound like a broken record at this point. It's the same thing for every muscle. So roll up and down, find the tight spot, and hold for 30. After about 30, roll it up and down a few more times, massage it out, and then roll all the way back until the roller's under your hips and you can pick yourself up. Okay, Okay, the chest is the last thing we're gonna roll out today. So it's the chest and the front side of the shoulder. For this one, you're gonna lay all the way on your belly. That roller is gonna be positioned long ways under one armpit. You're gonna bring the hand out to the side. This one, I like to place my left hand, my palm of my hand on the floor, just below the shoulder. And this one, you're not gonna pick your whole body up, you're just gonna gently roll a little bit side to side, massaging out the front of that shoulder and the side of your chest. These muscles also get very tight from sitting, especially if you're working on a computer day to day. So this is a really great one to start to lengthen these muscles back out and correct your posture so that you can open your shoulders back up to how they're supposed to be. Okay, find the tight spot, hold there about 30 seconds or so. Depending on how tight your shoulders are, this one can also be pretty intense. And I skipped one on the legs. We're going to go back to that after this. Okay. Not too bad. I'm going to just pick up my torso a little bit, roll this roller over to the other side, and do the same thing here. So arms out to the side. Rolling a little bit, trying to massage out those muscles, warm them up, find the tight spot, and then hold. Okay. If you don't have a foam roller too, you don't necessarily have to have a tube like this. I could have said this at the beginning of the video. You can use something like a tennis ball or a lacrosse ball. Because those are smaller objects, the intensity of the pressure is a little more. It's not as evenly spread across the muscle tissue, so it's a little more targeted, so that can be a little bit more intense. So depending on what part of the body you're using that on, I would definitely give yourself a little more support than you think, and really ease into it since it's a more targeted type of pressure. Okay, so we got this shoulder done. I'm gonna come back up onto my tabletop position. We're gonna keep the roller in this long position here. And we're gonna get the inner thighs, and then we will be done. So I'm gonna start by bringing that roller to the innermost crease of my right inner thigh. The left leg is just extended straight back. You can be up on the left toes and lift that knee off the ground if you want to add a little bit of pressure to the right inner thigh. But these are also notoriously tight muscles on folks. So this can feel intense enough just laying on it without much activity in the body. So usually the inside of that hip crease is going to be pretty tight, and then same thing here, you can roll all the way down to the knee and back up a few times, and if a spot along that way feels tighter than the hip, you can hold on it. For me, I'm going to hold it up in the hip crease. Again though, whatever feels right to you, it's a little different for everybody. Massage it out. Then we're going to roll back. My right knee on the floor, and then position this under my left this time. And start with it in the innermost part of your hip crease here, inner thigh, and then gradually start to work your way down, rolling it all the way down to the knee a few times and back up. Massaging that muscle tissue, warming it up, finding any tight spots, holding for 30. Roll it and massage it out. All right, so that does it for the foam rolling tutorial. Again, this can be done as a means of preparing for exercise or movement, or just as part of your daily mobility routine if you want to just move better throughout the day. Always good to aid the muscles in returning to their normal starting length before putting demand on your body. So yeah, movement prep, pre-workout, or muscle recovery after workout to improve blood circulation. I hope you found this useful. If you have any specific questions for me, leave them in the comments and I will circle back with the best answers that I can come up with the next time I post a video. And thank you so much.